Are you a dentist or do you manage a dental practice? You know how challenging it can be to provide and offer benefits to yourself, your family, and your employees.
We're Shannon and Michael. We're with Healthcare Genius, and we are here today to talk to you about how to overcome some of those challenges, what you can do, maybe some money-saving tips on how you can manage some of these issues and get the coverage that you need. So the first frustration that we constantly hear is about health insurance. For a lot of you, it's too difficult or too costly to provide health insurance to all of your employees, but you still need it for yourself, your employees still need it, and your family members still need it. Do you have any tips for people on what you can do, what your options are, where to go to actually find health insurance?
Very challenging, I think, for dental practices because oftentimes they just don't have the wherewithal to go ahead and pay for a full benefit package for their employees. Obviously, group plans are available, so they could create a group plan and offer coverage. There is a new concept that's out that may be helpful down the road, and those are health reimbursement accounts. Mm-hmm. Those allow a practice to make a contribution into that HRA, and then their employees could take that contribution and use it to purchase insurance on an individual exchange. They're fairly new, so we're just kind of going through all the details on that, but that's certainly one option. We do see a lot of times in dental practices that their staff may qualify for subsidies on the individual exchange too. Even sometimes Medicaid if they have children. Or their children certainly can be covered under Medicaid. So those are all avenues that practices should be thinking about as far as what's the right coverage to be offering to employees.
These HRAs can be great strategies, so definitely look into that. And if you can't contribute anything to your employees' healthcare costs, even giving them information and educating them about their options can be extremely powerful.
That's right. The next area that we see is really important at both the dental practice, at the dentist side of things, and staff, hygienists, and so forth, is disability insurance. Mm-hmm. Now, those are some things that you can do on a group basis. So if you have a number of employees and you want to offer a group plan, that can be very beneficial. We know, again, in a lot of circumstances, employees just don't have the wherewithal to necessarily pay for those benefits on their own. Mm-hmm. So this can be a good retention recruiting tool. Disability insurance, in our opinion, is one of the most overlooked and coverages that is out there.
Yep.
Time and time again, I think we see companies and where they get in this predicament of an employee who's out and can't come to work, and they have the question of, well, do I continue to pay them? You know, how long can I continue to pay them, and so forth. So
right, and just a pro tip for you guys when you're thinking about disability insurance is make sure you're thinking about how in these policies disabilities are defined. Do you want to touch on that, Michael?
Yeah, certainly as a dentist, it's important to have an own occupation definition, something that will cover you through your normal retirement age. Because as a dentist, if you can't use your hands, obviously you can't do your profession. And that's really key, is to make sure that you're aware of what that policy, if you do have a policy, what that covers. If you're looking at a policy, make sure that own occupation is a big part of what is in that policy.
Absolutely. So the third thing that we want to talk about is life insurance. There are a couple components of life insurance that are often overlooked, one of them being living benefits. So do you want to touch on that, Michael?
Yeah, living benefits is a fairly new product in the last 5 to 10 years. Not every company has it. As a matter of fact, a lot of them don't still have these coverages. But what they're designed to do in both term insurance policies as well as permanent policies is that if you had a serious illness, heart attack, cancer, stroke tend to be the big three, or an accident where your quality of life is going to be impaired going forward, you may have the ability to take part of that death benefit and use it to pay for expenses. So if you had $1 million policy and you had a serious cancer, a lot of these plans may allow you to take $800,000, $900,000 of that policy and use it the way you want to use it to pay for. It could be experimental treatment, it could be to, again, if you didn't have disability, to cover out-of-pocket costs or living expenses, but they really are great policies. And for most people, because they're so new, their current plans may not have that option.
Right, and you may think, if I have health insurance, why do I need something like this? And a perfect example would be buying individual health insurance in Colorado. Unfortunately, you, in most cases, don't have the opportunity to go out of network and be covered. So cancer is a good example. Let's say you get some kind of rare cancer and you want to go to Mayo Clinic or MD Anderson, and these are out of network. The living benefits will allow you to take that money and do whatever you want with it. So some of the restrictions and the holes in health insurance can really be filled by this policy.
That's right. And even if you're looking for your employees, it can be a very inexpensive way to provide a benefit to your employees who maybe don't have coverage or again are in that situation where they're on a state exchange or maybe have Medicaid.
The next thing that you may not be thinking about, but that you absolutely should be, is what does healthcare in retirement look like for me, for my family, and potentially for your employees? We always want to encourage people to be thinking about what will happen when they turn 65. And if you're a small company, what happens, Michael?
Well, unfortunately, and most dental practices are going to be under 20 employees. If you're the dentist running the practice or if you have multiple dentists, when you turn 65, you're going to have to sign up for Medicare Part A and B. Mm-hmm. And while that doesn't sound so bad, matter of fact, a lot of people look forward to being able to sign up for Medicare. The reality is, because your income is most likely higher than what the means testing limits are for Medicare, you're going to pay 2, sometimes 3 times as much for your Medicare as your employees might pay. Mm-hmm. And so it's important to factor that into your planning and realize that those costs can be significant.
Yep, this is something that is often overlooked by financial advisors and different types of planners, and you need to be thinking about as Medicare means testing, particularly as a dentist. If you have questions about what your healthcare costs will likely look like in retirement, we actually have a customized report that we can offer you. It's in a link in the description below here, so feel free to check it out and see what you should be expecting. And you can also look at that in comparison to the Social Security that you may be receiving.
The other area that we encourage certainly dentists to be looking at is long-term care. Statistically speaking, roughly 2/3 of people at some point in their life when they're retired will need some type of long-term care, whether that be in-home care or actual nursing home care.
Yep, and the last thing that we want people to do is either spend down their assets or completely rely on family members to take care of them should something happen, which again, it is a likely possibility for many people. And long-term care really gives you the flexibility so you can have the type of care you want should you need it, and you really take that burden off of the people that are closest to you.
And depending how you've structured your business as a dentist, if you happen to be a C corporation, you can actually pay for those long-term care premiums out of your company without it becoming a taxable event to you. So it's a business deduction for your company.
This is huge. This is one of the very few kind of tax-free strategies in this type of planning that there is. So if it's available to you, definitely take advantage of that.
Yeah, and those of you who may have a long-term office manager or maybe hygienist that's worked for you, you can actually provide that benefit for them. Mm-hmm. And again, they're not taxed on it. They'll be able to have a benefit when they retire. So something to really be thinking about. And finally, kind of our pro tip specifically for dentists is that a lot of dentists have either a cash balance or defined benefit plan. And they're not necessarily aware that there's a little tax code called 401H that allows you to set up, we call it a super HSA, that's what we think of it, inside of that defined benefit or cash balance plan, so that when you retire as the dentist, you can take some of the dollars out of your plan tax-free, which can be significant, again, to pay for those higher Medicare premiums.
Yep. A lot of people don't know what 401Hs are and how they work, but they're great tools. So if you have questions about any of the things that we've covered, feel free to let us know in the comments below. All these things should be not only things that you're thinking about, but that you are constantly reviewing. So if you have policies, you don't really understand them, we encourage you to take a look and make sure you know all the ins and outs of all the coverage that you do have.
We can do a complimentary review for you of your coverages. We have some other videos that we put out where we talk about life insurance and disability reviews. More than happy to do that. Click down to become a client. There's an application there where we can get some information, and then we can do that review for you. You should also look, we've created a site where you can go to have all sorts of different things when it comes to health insurance, life insurance, disability, and so forth. You can use that with your employees if they have questions. Really, we want to be your resource for all of your healthcare needs, including healthcare and retirement.
That's right. We are here to help. So please contact us with any questions you have. Feel free to comment below. And again, check out those links in our description and subscribe to our channel so you see all the videos we put out on healthcare and retirement. Also, make sure you click the notification bell so you know when we come out with new content.